Welcome back to Stockholm, and as you may just be able to hear in the background, I don't know, we're at the coffee break. Fantastic goings on here at the Swedish Market Research Day. I'm joined with another guest. Remember, you can follow us online using hash SMRD12. So over to our next guest, Sasha. First of all, please, if you could tell me your name and your company.
I'm Alexander Shashkin. My company is Online Market Intelligence, OMI. We're based in Moscow. We are online sample provider, a local one, covering Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Baltics. That's the, and we are the best panels, the best local panels.
Excellent.
Yeah, as all people tell, but
yes, lovely Russian modesty. Okay, so and when you talk about providing sample, is that for online sample, for face-to-face, for CATI?
No, this purely online sample,
Online,
but multiple different panels, B2B, B2C physicians.
And if we take somewhere like Kazakhstan, where the internet penetration is not so great, is online a good methodology?
We do not recommend it for the groups and for the geographies where the penetration is not enough good. And of course, if you need a representative sample, even in the US, maybe online panels are not the best choice because of like non-representative nature.
Yeah. And do you find any difficulty when people from other parts of the world, from Latin America or Australia, North America, want to do research in your countries, whether or not they understand the differences of size and of language?
There are differences, and of course, I mean, US clients, because US generates 50% of marketing research, and they do have some difficulties, and there are some differences basically. For example, the concept of department store, which does not exist in Russia, or the concept of investable assets, which Russian people do not understand, or the concept of annual income, which we count monthly, and those small little things that might make the difference. And that's why they are choosing local players, because we can actually consult them what is Russia and what is going on here, not just to stay a little bit a part of just this pure business when you just sell panels. So you little bit sell local consultants.
Yes, exactly. Some local knowledge and local awareness. So when people do surveys, do they normally run the software themselves? So will somebody come along with a survey already written, or do you help write the surveys?
International clients, they all program themselves. I mean, they may outsource, but not to us.
Yeah.
But Russian clients, we program for all of them. So Russian research companies, they are not yet buying software, not yet starting program that for themselves. So they prefer outsourcing.
Now, because that always worries me a little bit. If I write a study in the UK and I do an international study, I will often get things like the marital status question really well written for the UK. I will get the education question really well written for the UK. And then when it's translated, I find sometimes in other countries that people pick other. And that tells me, I didn't get it quite right for that country. Yeah. So do you find this happens? A British person books a survey in Moscow, and sometimes you look at their survey and you go,
I mean, we have a rule that we never launch anything without having a look what is there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we came across such a funny situations where people translate, for example, brand names literally. So, for example, Apple in Russia, literally translated to Russian, will mean something totally different, or Dell.
Yeah,
that's a little bit interesting, and then they want us to continue, and then we're telling them no, never, and we are giving the whole list of things to improve, and that's the basic rule, that never launch bad thing to the field. So
do they ever ask you to run the survey in English?
That's interesting, but there are some clients that really want it, and that sounds really strange. I know that for some English-speaking countries, only their countries do exist in the world. But I mean, we're trying to explain in a Russian polite way, that in Russia better to do in Russian. Or
so, have you been to the SMRD before? This is Swedish Market Research Day.
No, it's first time, and we are exhibiting here for the first time. So last year, my colleague was here. Yeah. And this time we decided to exhibit. But we do have a Finnish office. It's like a sales office. So we kind of consider Nordic countries as a place of interest. And there are historically good business ties. So we think that there should be interest to Russia.
Well, I think that the old Tsar's library was in Finland. In fact, in Helsinki.
It's the best Russian libraries in Helsinki, because they stored all those pieces that were destroyed in communist times.
Yeah.
In Russia, in Soviet Union, they stored everything. So that's the best library. That's true.
Now, if you were going to give somebody a couple of tips about how to do research in Russia, what would your sort of top 2 or 3 recommendations be?
I mean, if we talk about online or generally speaking?
Both.
I think if we talk about online, that's really important to carefully understand what's your target audience in relation to internet penetration, in relation to what is possible online or not.
Yeah.
Because, for example, here the people perceive that in Russia, for example, people over 55 years old can be surveyed online. Because here, this age is kind of people only start living at 55. But in Russia, it's a little bit different. And of course, the internet penetration is close to 0 in that age. And consumption power is close to 0 after people retire in Russia. So that's a different story. And that's something that need to understand. And I think that the most important to be curious, basically, to not perceive anything as granted, as it happens in your own country. Just be curious what's going on in Russia. It doesn't make any difference to ask questions this way or another way. And then we will do our best to consult to help, because that's the difference. So panels should not become a commodity at the end of the day because of the companies that may add value to that. Not just send people to survey link and that's it.
Great. So really, people need, if they're going to do work from the UK into Russia, probably makes sense to talk to a Russian partner.
Absolutely, and I would recommend actually to give the questionnaire to get translated into Russian by Russians. Then we can sort of embed our local knowledge into that, and maybe back translate it. It may take some time, but the quality would be.
I think
better.
you're right.
Because one place for 40 languages translation, that's not a good idea. It's like global panels in which we don't believe, because when you have a global panel in 40 countries, it means that you may have a good panel in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries, but not in 40 countries.
So is your company a member of any of these international alliances for panels, or?
For example?
Well, there's a growing number of networks. I know that Vision Critical has got a Springboard network. There's Proxima. Proximity. There are various.
Proximity. We are actually part of Proximity panels, like the United Independent, local independent players.
So it's a bit like a clearinghouse where they cooperate, but it's all separate companies.
Yes. And they just manage quotations, I think.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually prove the efficiency. I mean, we are part of it, but it doesn't mean that it gives us much business to tell the truth.
Yeah, I understand.
But what is interesting is that actually the big market research companies, they do not hesitate nowadays to go directly to the local players.
Yeah.
Before that, they were a little bit too lazy. Maybe they just go to one shop, as they call it, for 50, 40 countries. Nowadays, they don't.
Yeah.
They better hire a project manager who will reach each of the countries and then go for the best what is available there.
Yeah.
Not just go into the big global panel.
And so is your main offer, do you think, price, or is your main offer quality?
I mean, you should offer good price in any case in that market. Unfortunately, but I think that the quality is important. That's why we, for example, participate in the initiatives like MKTG, the panel audit.
Yeah.
And we're the only panel in Russia with gold certificate. We after seventh wave, data consistency and quality, they award this gold certificate.
Excellent.
So we're the only company with gold certificate from MKTG.
Okay, good to see you again, Sasha.
Thank you, Ray.